says trying to. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Orlando. Good morning, Florida. Good morning, everybody in between. This is your host, Jennifer Yon Kennedy, and I am here kicking off our tailgate interviews with the most beautiful, strong, courageous, Angie Nixon. How are you doing today?
I am so excited to be here with you all. Hey, Orlando, Central Florida area.
Listen, it's a journey for you. This is the kickoff of election, the start of a whole new chapter for you.
It is.
For individuals that don't know who you are,
Yeah.
how would you complete the sentence Angie Nixon is?
So Angie Nixon is a wife, a mother, a community organizer, a small business owner, someone who just really loves helping people.
Okay.
And Angie Nixon is also the biggest pain in Ron DeSantis' ass.
Okay.
And hopefully come November, after November 3rd, Angie Nixon will become the biggest pain in Donald Trump's ass as well,
Okay.
as we fight to ensure that we have good, a good quality of life for everyone. And so I am on your page, and I'm gonna share it. So that's why I'm looking down on our page.
You're an IBA Success. So Florida Democrats have not won a U.S. election since 2012. Okay, what makes you believe you can build that and change that for this year?
Yeah, so people are tired, right? Like right now, folks are working harder than ever, and they're still struggling just to get by. And so they are clamoring and wanting change. They want someone who's going to look out for them, who is not going to just be beholden to these big corporations and these billionaires and ultra wealthy millionaires.
Yes.
They want elected officials who just really feel like hardworking everyday people should get to shape what our communities look like and what our economies look like.
Yes.
I am tired of policies being passed that only benefit the billionaire class. This isn't about Republican versus Democrat or moderate versus progressive. This is about top versus bottom, and how the top 1.5% have about 98% of the wealth in this country, and everyone else is just working class basically, and we're struggling. There's not even a middle class anymore. It's almost just, unfortunately, a lot of folks that are working poor.
Yes. I would say small businesses are central to the readers of IBA Success Magazine. What specific policies would you support, to help entrepreneurs with capital or to compete with large corporations?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's the main problem, right? Like, we cannot continue to just bail out these big corporations, right? We need to start bailing out the small business owners, because at the end of the day, oftentimes what we have seen throughout history is that after the government bails out these bigger businesses, these executives of these businesses get these huge raises and these huge packages, and they sometimes go out of business, right? Mm-hmm. And so we need to, instead of using money and subsidizing these big businesses, we need to work to help subsidize and offer no interest loans, offer more grants for small business owners, right? Mm-hmm. Also, the SBA loan process is just so hard. Yes. And it is overwhelming, right? And so we need to really revamp that entire program coming out of the SBA and actually be more hands-on, particularly in communities where people often start their businesses out of desperation and need, because they can't necessarily get a job, maybe because of their background and that type of stuff, or they don't have access to capital, they didn't set up their business the correct way. We need more hands-on for these business owners. A lot of us don't even, and I will say this because I was one of the ones, I didn't set my business up correctly, right? And you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You didn't think about it, the need to have an accountant and all of the things, and you didn't set up your structure right. And so we need hands-on, hands-on assistance with that. And how we do that is, again, like, stop offering up all these tax breaks to these big corporations, and maybe offer some tax breaks, or offer some, alleviating some taxes, or offering more grants for small business owners,
Right.
particularly those that have like 20 employees or less, or 50 employees or less, right? Oftentimes we only see a lot of money going towards they claim to be like mid-sized businesses, and they like employ hundreds of people, but I'm thinking about the mom and pop shops, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. So you've built a reputation as an activist, an outspoken fighter. Critics say you can draw attention, but does not always produce. What is your thought about that when you were arrested for standing your ground and fighting?
Yeah, so I want to be clear, right? Like, there's a lot of people that'll try to say that I'm ineffective, but the reality is I was able to expand access to early childhood education in low income and working class communities, and I was able to do that because then Representative, she's now a Senator, Erin Grahl, pulled my bill and put it in her omnibus bill, which allowed for health child care providers to be reimbursed adequate, decent reimbursement rates so that they can expand access to more children. I've also been able to bring funding home that allowed people who were suffering from violence to get free mental health services, right? And so oftentimes in a super minority, you have to sell out to get things passed. I refuse to sell out my community because my community has been sold out for too long. And so I'm going to be vocal to call attention to a lot of the issues that are happening. And I know how to navigate and make sure that I move my legislation to give it to other people so that it does get passed. I don't care about the credit. I care about the legislation actually passing and helping improve quality of life for folks. And so in terms of why I got arrested, the same reason that John Lewis and the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's and the Rosa Parks got arrested. I got in good trouble, necessary trouble. Mm-hmm. They are literally trying to make it harder for Black people in this country to have a right to vote and to have power. And so who am I to sit idly by as the Republican lawmakers here in the state of Florida decided to unconstitutionally and illegally draw maps to remove our ability to decide who would represent us and allow politicians to decide who their voters are. Like, Representative Yvonne Henson is the oldest, most senior lawmaker in our state, and she had to march alongside her parents for the right to vote. And you want me to sit by while they try to remove our ability to choose who we want to vote for, right? Like, the problem is these Republicans that were in office that were doing things, not me. And people want to say that I don't have decorum or I lack professionalism. But what good is decorum when our democracy and our institutions are actively being destroyed? They are weaponizing agencies to kill our people, right? On the street with cameras on their bodies, right? And they're not being held accountable. And so people want me to send strongly worded emails. What is a strongly worded email doing in our community? Absolutely nothing. And so we need people in Washington, D.C. with a backbone, especially as this guy in the White House who has said time and time again, there will be no need for another president, for us to vote for another president after he comes back in office. And he's laying the foundation to try to remain in office. He is doing that by, a few weeks ago, he made the case saying that in 2020, there was election fraud and he actually won. That is a lie. He is laying the foundation by creating a paramilitary force and weaponizing ICE to terrorize our communities. And we know that ICE is going to be used during these midterm elections, and ICE is going to be used in 2028 in regards to the election, and they're terrorizing our community. They're evoking fear in our communities. People are afraid to come outside, right? People are afraid to push back against actual authoritarianism and fascism that is coming in our country. And so that's the point, right? Like he wants us to be quiet. And right now in this moment, as they seek to return us back to the worst chapters of our history, silence is complicity. And we can't be silent. First Lady Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. I'm saying when they go low, we need to get loud. And throughout the history of this world, the only times people have been able to stop democracies from falling was when they did mass mobilizations and they got loud and they pushed back. And so I'm asking people to get loud in this moment. Don't allow them to say that we need to act a certain way right now when they are literally like harming us. They are literally like trying to end Social Security. They are literally pushing our kids in the school to prison pipeline. They are the problem, not me being the one that's calling it out. Like what is, like yes. Think about that. They're trying to say I'm the problem. No, they're the problem.
So what would you tell the community to do that feels fired just like you feel? What is the best thing that they can do to help position this next chapter for you, for our community?
Yeah, so I would say, yes, we need to go out and vote, right? Like early voting has started all across the state, statewide right now. But also when we vote, we need to stay active and engaged, right? When we vote, I hear y'all working in the background.
Yes,
but
we are live.
In a small business,
yes.
And make sure y'all come shop with
yes.
them, come eat with them here at Jenny's. And so when we vote, it's great, but we have to hold lawmakers accountable. Yes. And we also need to join organizations that are on the ground, educating more people in the community about the need to build power, the need to hold people accountable, the need to create our own agenda yes. and the type of budget that we want to see passed. Why are we allowing lawmakers to decide our agenda? Yes. Why are we allowing lawmakers to decide our budget? We as a collective community need to decide what we want our taxpayer dollars to be spent on.
I know for me as a small business and just talking to a lot of the customers that come in, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
You know, they're exhausted with political conflict. They believe government no longer exists. How would you rebuild trust in people?
So I think you need to rebuild trust by going to meet people where they are, by having conversations like this. And so I am a small business owner myself. And I opened up a bookstore and a coffee shop, and it turned into a third space. It's not just a bookstore and coffee shop. We actually use it as an opportunity where people can come in and we do free tutoring, free mental health workshops. We allow organizations to use our space and to do power building workshops, community organizing workshops, and learning more about being involved civically and engaged. I offer free Plan B. When the government shutdown happened, for people who were furloughed or lost their SNAP benefits, we gave away free food. We have a pantry outside that people from the community donate to, and then people who need it, they take things away. And
now, where is the bookstore?
The bookstore is in Jacksonville, Florida, on the north side. It's called Cafe Resistance Bookstore and Coffee Shop. Okay. And the reason that we do all of the things in this community like that is because a lot of people that need these services, they're not civically engaged. A lot of people who need Plan B, they may not have money. They coming to us because they don't have money to go get Plan B, or they don't have access to reproductive health, right? And so we agitate them around that, like, do you have a doctor and this and that, or okay, we connect them to a healthcare provider or whatever, and then we go and say, like, are you registered to vote? Did you know that the folks like Ashley Moody and the Donald Trumps of the world, they don't want you to have access to Plan B. They don't want you to have abortion access. They don't want you to have healthcare providers, because there are literally counties in our state that are about to lose their last pediatrician and that don't have obstetrician gynecologists, like literal counties in our state like that. And so we let folks know that that is a direct consequence of who's in office or who's not in office. And we illustrate like why it's important to vote. You know, like people don't, sometimes they're like, I don't do politics. Well, politics doing us. It's doing us at the pump. It's doing you right now with these food prices that you gotta purchase this food, and then you're gonna pass those costs down to your customers. And so that's gonna weigh heavily on whether or not they're gonna be able to come and afford food, or they're just gonna stay home and cook at home, right? And so also for the young people, the average age of purchasing your first home is now like 40 to 42. I'm 42, but I was able to get my home when I was 29. And I was able to get my home at 29 because the government did the right thing. I was a part of their first time home buyer program. The federal government had money that trickled down to the state, that trickled down to the local government, which allowed me to access down payment assistance and closing costs, right? I had done all the right things, graduated from college, got a job, but that job was not paying enough. I worked for the state. And those programs that helped me get a home, those same programs, Donald Trump decided to cut back on some of those programs and give tax breaks to his friends and family, those billionaires. And so I believe that the billionaire class and these corporations need to pay what they owe. And I believe that we need to remove these working family taxes in the form of tariffs, which would actually help lower the cost for a lot of us. Especially you all in the restaurant industry, right? And it would also allow people to get some more jobs, because after these tariffs came in play, there were a lot of warehouse jobs that they let a lot of people go, a lot of transportation jobs, a lot of people got let go because people weren't buying things as much as they used to. And that's because it costs too much now. How many people stopped ordering off Shein and Fashion Nova because of these tariffs? Or a lot of their products got, less and less and less, right? And so it's because of these tariffs. It's because Donald Trump took control and usurped power from the Senate and from Congress. And so again, we got to send people to Washington D.C. with a backbone who are gonna fight, right? And deliver.
So Floridians are being squeezed by the housing costs.
Yes.
There's being the property insurance premiums. What can a United States Senator realistically do?
Yeah, so what we can do right now, and this is something I'm supportive of right now, is for at least for a year, temporarily, and I am a landlord, but I believe that we can stabilize rent. So freeze the rent for not allowing people to increase their rental rates for up to 10% just for the year.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and so that'll help people, and it also bakes in some other costs that a landlord may have to bake in. But I haven't increased my rent for the past 2 years on my tenants, and a lot of the reason the rents are going up is because people just trying to make more money. These corporate landlords are trying to make more money.
So you say corporate greed and political corruption are driving Florida's affordability crisis. What are the first 3 actions you would take as a senator to bring families meaningful results?
Yeah, so number 1, medical debt is the leading cause of bankruptcy. People are literally going bankrupt because they're trying to stay alive. I need folks to understand it. So on day 1, I want to file legislation to extend the ACA subsidies again, and to demand that these health insurance companies open enrollment again to drive down these costs of premiums, right? So that would allow more money to be in people's pockets, because a lot of people are paying 3 times as much as they used to pay, right? Number 2, we need to remove these working family taxes in the form of tariffs, right? Also, wanting to wind down the war, because that has caused our gas prices to go up. And the only people that are really benefiting from this war are defense contractors and Jared Kushner, who is Donald Trump's son-in-law, who has a vested interest in the Middle East. And for some reason, this guy's over there negotiating things in the Middle East, but we know why. It's all about money. He's making more money on top of more money. And so those are a few of the things, but also I am fully for universal child care, because that would allow a lot of parents to be able to go to work. People are paying $800 to $2,400 a month for child care. I have a 5-year-old. I'm paying $1,000 a month. That is ridiculous. That's because she had a late birthday and we couldn't get her into VPK in time. And so, all of this stuff, we can pay for it. People are like, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay for universal health care, Medicare for all? Well, we're actually, as a government, we're already paying the cost of Medicare for all right now. And that is including that, we're paying for that cost totally. And people are still paying co-pays and deductibles. And so Medicare for all wouldn't require the payment of co-pays and deductibles. And so we would actually save on the back end, we would save long term if we had Medicare for all. The only people that are upset about us possibly passing Medicare for all are insurance companies, because they're mad that they're gonna lose money. But I don't care about insurance companies losing money because they deny people's claims all the time. They deny people life-saving medical treatment. Like, there are literally people who have been prescribed chemo treatments, like 21, 25 chemo treatments to save their life. And the insurance company will say, nah, but I'll give you 12. Like, what kind of stuff is that? Why are we capitalizing off of people's health and lives? That needs to be something that the government like takes care of, and we don't need Medicare in its current form. We can actually reimagine what Medicare would look like, and it would also pay healthcare providers adequate reimbursement rates so they won't have to worry about not getting paid enough after they went to college to getting all that debt, right? And so we can reimagine what Medicare for all would look like, and it could benefit the doctors as well as the patients, of course, right?
Do you feel like when they say the Democrats are just looking to give out handouts, what do you feel about that?
That's our money. And let's be clear, the biggest recipients of welfare are corporations. Corporations get a lot of welfare and a lot of subsidies, and I'm just ready to like look out for hardworking people, everyday people. And Elon Musk and the Peter Thiels and the Jeff Bezos of the world, those are the ones who are exploiting like our taxpayer dollars. Like, you got to think about it. Why is Walmart the biggest? They make billions of dollars, but their employees are on assistance, right? Yes. They're on assistance, and then they get kickbacks for hiring employees that are on assistance. But you're making billions of dollars. Why don't you pay your people a living wage?
And talk about living wage. You believe it's necessary to increase minimum wage?
Yeah, it's definitely necessary to increase the minimum wage right now. Like, if we would have kept up with inflation since the initial onset of like having minimum wage, which is only $7.25 an hour right now. Minimum wage right now would be like $38, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think we need to go that far that quick, right? Like, I do believe we need to get to $25, and we can take incremental approaches, but also like if there are big businesses and corporations, they can immediately pay people $25 an hour. Now, our small mom and pop shops, I understand that may be too much, but there is a way in which we can navigate and use some federal dollars to like help subsidize small business owners as they attempt to move up to be able to pay people $25 an hour. Look, y'all, Donald Trump is doing whatever he wants to do. And so they try to act like we don't have all this money, but let's be clear. Number one, they're spending $1 billion on a ballroom none of y'all will be able to dance in. Number two, they're spending nearly $2 billion on a war that none of us asked for, a war in which they are providing a country as well, giving them money, and they have universal health care. They have free college in that country, right? And we just need to make sure that we are closing corporate tax loopholes and making billionaires pay what they owe. 88 companies last year made over $105 billion, and they paid zero in federal taxes. I spoke with a woman who told me she made $55,000 last year, and she's paying on a payment plan for the IRS. Yes. And so there is a huge amount of wealth inequality because these billionaires and these companies are like, they bought off these elected officials. And so they're only passing policies that help them and not actually everyday Floridians.
You know, your opponent has raised substantial more money than you.
Yep.
How can a grassroots campaign overcome that financial disadvantage? And what does your fundraising say about the kind of senator you will be?
Yeah, so I think it's important to let folks know we have what it takes. We're going to have the money we need to win, especially when y'all donate to my campaign. But also, like, I am a grassroots organizer. I am not new to this. I've unseated an incumbent before, been outspent 5-1. I did it while I was 9 months pregnant with COVID. I don't have COVID and I am not 9 months pregnant, so you know I'm working hard. Yes. And so I am going out, talking to as many people as possible. And I used to be a single mom for 12 years. I know how to make a dollar stretch, yes. Right? And so it is showing because a recent independent poll came out that stated that my campaign is more likely, and it's the strongest campaign, to be able to unseat Ashley Moody in the general election. And so we're going to continue to knock on every door, make every phone call. And it's so funny because there is this pay-to-play political rag that came out with an article, and they were trying to criticize my spending and saying, oh, she's paying over 54% of her salary, of her spend goes towards salaries. That's because I'm paying organizers to go out and organize communities, to knock on doors and to make phone calls and to do the right thing. And I'm not paying consultants to get richer, right? Like, we're actually going to voters and having conversations. And so that's how we can win. Status quo, quiet, timid leadership won't be Ashley Moody. I don't care how much money they have. What's gonna be Ashley Moody is someone who is able to go out and talk to people and energize a base of folks who have felt disenfranchised and who have felt apathetic, as though they couldn't see themselves in this country. In this next 250 years of our country, we have the opportunity to do something different, to build something different, something where every family actually has stability, and every worker has dignity, and every young person has the opportunity to reach the true American dream. And so that is why I am running this type of people power campaign.
Now, when you say dignity, is there any issues within your own party that you disagree with? And would you be willing to vote against that, being a leader?
Yeah, so I think it's important to know that I vote for the people. I have at times voted against, I've been the long no vote in the state legislature.
Okay.
And that's because I felt like it wasn't helping benefit hard-working people. And so, yes, that is one of the reasons why the establishment is not backing me, and they're backing my primary opponent, because they are fearful that not only am I going to go to Washington, D.C. to hold Republicans accountable, but I'm going to go to Washington, D.C. to hold Democrats accountable as well. Many members of my party were very upset when I called for a ceasefire after what was happening over in Israel and in Gaza and everything. But I just care about people's lives, right? And I don't believe that we should be spending money to fund bombing of babies and bombing of schools, especially when we have people over here that are struggling, veterans that are living on the street, teachers that are living in their cars, and schools that are closing because they're not fully resourced. And so I just care about people. I've always cared about the safety and well-being of people, and I'm going to continue to do that when I become your next United States Senator.
Awesome. Listen, you all, if you are just tuning in, or if you're going to watch the replay, definitely follow. Where can they follow you at? Because it's not too late to continue donating.
No,
right?
You can donate to me throughout the election. So AngieNixon.com is my website. Folks can go and follow me at Angie for Florida on all social media platforms, Angie for FL on all social media platforms. Look, y'all, we have what it takes. We can win this campaign. This isn't my campaign. Folks are like, how can you win? How are you going to win? It's not if I'm going to win, it's if you all are ready to win, if we're ready to win, right? Like, if you are ready to no longer just survive, right? But to actually thrive and flourish, yes, you'll vote for me, and you'll help me out, and you'll go knock on some doors, and you'll let everyone in the state of Florida know that they need to vote for Angie Nixon for U.S. Senator.
So listen, I found you by scrolling social media, and your social media game is so strong right now. Your creativity, you know, what's the passion behind that?
So Candace is like, you know, she was coming in, she is my videographer and everything, and she's helping with that. But even before that, I just know that a lot of people get their information off social media, and so a lot of lawmakers don't necessarily go to social media the way in which they should. They try to do the traditional methods, and so I want to make sure that I am educating people to the highest level, so that they can't ever say that they didn't know what was happening.
Well, you're
right?
definitely grabbing their attention.
So we're just trying to grab people's attentions at whatever ways we can, and so it's been working, and so I just need people to lean in with your girl.
So y'all lean in. Listen, we're gonna ask one more question because we know you got a busy day ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting with us. So if you are elected,
Yeah.
or should we say when you are elected?
When we're elected,
okay. Yes. What is the one promise you want Floridians to know and hold you accountable for?
I want them to hold me accountable to being accountable to them, right? Like to know that I am someone who's gonna always be accessible and ethical and someone you can trust. And I want them to know that I have an open door policy, right? Like my office will have an open door policy. Don't flood if we may get flooded with emails, which is fine, but if we miss an email, keep emailing and calling us, but always know that we will never just say no. We will never say no to a meeting. We'll try to figure it out and work it out with me or with my staff, but I will always be accessible to the people.
Well, just like you, we want to always be accessible to the audience, to the people, to the community. IBA Success Magazine, we thrive to continue bringing informative information that will allow you to make decisions to protect us, our community, our people. Go ahead and make sure you follow Angie Nixon for, is it State Senate?
U.S.
Senate. Okay.
U.S. I'm trying to go to D.C. The feds.
No, we're going.
I'm
you
going
say you're
going. We're going.
Make sure you follow, and then make sure you follow us. Subscribe to IBA Success Magazine. There will be more information dropping all throughout the campaign. Election day is August 18th.
It's August 18th as well as November 3rd. But early voting starts now. You can no longer request a vote by mail ballot, but early voting has started now. And let's do this, y'all. Let's make history.
So this is the first interview of the Candidate Tailgate Interviews. Hey, make sure you all check out the calendar on GenYonAgency.com. Look at what other interviews that we will be hosting this week. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. I see all of your questions. Make sure you're not just putting questions out, but you're also following the right pages and clicking the donate button, because it takes revenue to get where you're going.
It does. This is a people power campaign.
Yes.
And I need the people to help power this campaign.
I love it, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank
All right.
you.
See y'all later. Have a good one.
Bye.